Hello traders, and welcome back to another educational video. Today we are talking about how to increase your win rate. So in the last video we spoke about the core components of any trading strategy. We broke down the 7 pillars. We talked about additional confirmations and basically how you can bring clarity to your entire trading process. We also talked about, the expected gains that you can make across different trading strategies, and then also the probability of winning when it comes to the type of risk rewards you plan to use as well. And then obviously the psychological friction that may bring depending on how high of a risk reward you're aiming for. And in other videos we spoke about, should you be letting winners run, the characteristics of successful traders, the conquer approach, how to make better trading decisions. So if you're looking for more of those videos, head over to our channel after this video and check it out. But in our last video, one of our viewers asked, could we basically shine some light on how to increase your win rate? And I want to first of all start with something here, because a lot of the time the wrong message is spread across the trading industry, and we need to really start helping people develop the correct expectations around things. So the best way I can explain this, and what I'm about to explain with regards to win rate and having a very high win rate, is first of all with a very high risk reward, because this is something that people always look at. They're always trying to refine their entry to get a higher risk reward, etc, etc, and I understand that, but also there's nothing wrong with that as well. I'm just saying that the higher the risk reward you aim for, realistically the lower hit rate you're going to have. For example, you're not going to be able to capture these 10-hour trades, 1 to 10 trades every single day. So your success rate or your hit rate or win rate, whatever you want to call it, is going to decline. And you're basically going to have to go through a lot of losing trades before you finally get that home run. Now, this is the problem, because a lot of people don't talk about this, because that brings a lot of psychological friction. So in reality, in order to remove a lot of that psychological friction, you're much better off aiming for a risk reward of 1 to 3, 1 to 2, maybe even 1 to 4, and then actually having a higher win rate. So you're balancing that higher win rate with the the lower risk reward, and that's actually removing a lot of the psychological friction there. Now, if you understand that basis, you're going to understand this. The problem with people who flash high win rate systems and don't really bring any context to it is that although they are known to have a strong win rate, it comes with a cost. Because they actually sacrifice potential or profit potential in favor of having that high winning streak. So for example, although you could have an 80% hit rate, so an 80% win rate, whatever you want to call it, you could still be making someone who has a hit rate of 50%, let's say. And the reality is that because you're trading with these higher win rates, you might not be able to gather the same amount of gains as the individual who has a lower amount of trade frequency but a higher risk reward with a lower win rate. So just understand that first of all, and I think this quote really sums it up here. The desire to maximize the number of winning trades or minimize the number of losing trades works against the trader. The success rate of trades is the least important performance statistic and may even be inversely related to performance. So think about this. If you're constantly trying to chase this, win rate, you might actually be bringing yourself down the wrong path. Instead, you should actually be maximizing your trading gains and not the number of winning trades you might have. So think about that again. It's not necessarily about how many winning trades you have, but how can we maximize the gains when you do. So if you have a 50% win rate, for example, we've spoke about these statistics before, and we've kind of referenced to these equity curves. Here we have a 2-to-1 risk reward with a 50% win probability over 100 trades with 20 different equity curves. And you can see all of them have made a profit. And if you could instead actually trying to increase the win probability number and actually somehow focus on, okay, well, on those 2-to-1 risk reward trades, is there a way of actually maximizing the amount of reward that I get out of that? And sometimes that can be as simple as looking at something like your maximum adverse excursion. So this is basically for analyzing the effectiveness of your stop placement. You're just looking to see if you're being too conservative with your stop, or maybe you're being too aggressive, you know. So you might want to take a look at a statistic like that as well. But think about this, it's trying to maximize your trading gains, not the number of winning trades you might have. But if you do want to look into increasing your win rate, let's say your win rate is terribly bad, you know, maybe you're on the opposite side of this. We're really only talking about people here and the challenges that come with having a high win rate, because it is kind of thrown around like the Lambo effect, you know, the Lamborghini effect, that it's flashy, it catches people's attention. But that doesn't necessarily mean that it's right or going to help you, or that it doesn't come with its own challenges. You know, you get the Lamborghini and then you have to be able to pay it off. What income is going to supplement that? It brings a whole new challenge into play. So how do you increase your win rate? The step one is to analyze the data, and my whole mission here is for you to get sick of me telling you to analyze the data until you eventually go and do it. Because in every video I talk about the data, the statistics, how this needs to drive your decision making, and it's boring and it's not going to resonate with a lot of people. But that's why a lot of people aren't going to be profitable. That's why a lot of people aren't going to be able to pull consistent gains from the market. And we have spoke about this before as well in, you know, previous videos on my Instagram, that being consistently profitable does not mean that you are going to win every trade. It means that you are consistent over a quarter, maybe over a month, over the year. It's the picture that has been painted to you online is not the reality. If you look at the majority of hedge funds, the top performing hedge funds in the world have an annual return of 10 to 20%, and they don't even survive in business for over a decade. That is on average. So, you know, this picture that's being painted to you isn't in line with the real world. So like I said, we'll get back to this, and I do apologize we went off topic there. But step one is to analyze the data. The easiest way, first of all, to actually develop a higher win rate is to actually have a reasonable target. There's no point of having a target where it's extremely far away from your entry if you're trying to get a higher win probability. You want to basically have a look into your data and behind how far your winners run on average, and then find the average distance a winning trader will run, and basically, like I just said there, and trade that. So for example, there's a specific trader who James Bruce is his name. He's a part of the ASFX team you'll find him on YouTube, on Instagram, Austin Silver. A lot of people will know him. But he talks about how he's refined the strategy to basically look for 1-to-1 risk rewards. And he has a very extremely high hit rate, but that allows him to get in and out. And simply by just looking at how far his winners were running, he realized that he could be actually taking and pulling a lot more from the market by simply just taking the 1-to-1 real quick and getting out of the market. Hit, take that one good trade setup, get out, onto the next one. Hit it, onto the next one. Hit it, onto the next one. The best way to do that is by actually just seeing, do you have a reasonable target? Some of you might be targeting too little or too much, but if you're aiming for win rate, you want to have a reasonable target. You're not going to be looking to get home runs all the time, and that's something that people are trying to do. Don't expect to get a risk reward of 10-to-1 or whatever and have an 80% success rate. There's nobody doing that, so just please understand that as well. Another way you can do it is looking at your setups and asking yourself, what is giving the max amount of output for the least amount of input, and basically then double down on that. So what are the trades? And the only way to figure this out is to actually analyze the data again. So you need to ask yourself, if you have setups, and in order to have setups, you need to have this, which is a playbook. We'll talk about this in a second, but you have to have a playbook of your setup. So for example, you may call it my A setup trade, my B setup trade, my C setup trades. And when you look at your A, B, and C setups, maybe you trade them a little bit differently. Maybe you're going to, maybe they have different confluences, something like that, and you categorize them. You want to ask, okay, well, which out of those setups is giving me the max amount of return for the least amount of input? So for the least amount of time at the charts, or whatever it may be, whatever you're willing to sacrifice, let's say. And when you're able to find out what is giving the max amount of input for the least amount of input, you have the option to either lower the risk on all of the other, poor setups, or if you're trying to, like we said, the purpose of this video is to increase the win rate. You want to ultimately, if those setups have a higher win rate that's providing you with the max amount of output, you want to double down on them and get rid of everything else. And that's a very, very easy way to increase your win rate. But this is when I say, the win rate can be quite like a flashy thing that it grabs your attention. You could be sacrificing potential profit here in favor of just having this high winning streak. Because what if the gains are very, very big on your A setups, but they don't have a high win rate? And this is why I'm saying that you actually want to maximize your trading gains, not the number of winning trades you might have. This is my personal opinion on that. And you want to double down on that. So for example, as well, it becomes a lot easier when you understand the data that is driving your trades. If you can really jump down into an Excel sheet, or maybe it's on EdgeWonk or some other platform, and you're able to look at the trades and see, well, it's not uncommon for me to have 3 or 4 losses in a row. You're not really going to care about your win rate. You understand the data. You know that, okay, I'm in a 3 to 4 potential losing streak, trade losing streak here at the moment. That is nothing uncommon for my trading system. I just need to keep flipping the coin and executing this process so the sample size will become larger and my edge can play out to get out of this losing streak. So like I said, what is giving the max amount of output for the least amount of input, and you want to double down on that. The next thing is to build a playbook. Okay, what is, and it's kind of similar, I suppose, and they come hand in hand, but what is your highest performing setup? What is the one with the highest win rate? We're not really talking about maximizing gains here. The topic of the video is to increase your win rate. So what is that setup in your playbook that is allowing you to have your highest performing setup? Or sorry, what is allowing you to maximize the output, maximize your win rate? What is your highest performing setup that is giving you that? Sorry, we went off topic there. And when you find out what that is, you want to actually ask yourself, how can I do more of that, and how can I do it better? But also always keeping in mind that maximizing your trading gains, not the number of winning trades you might have, is a lot easier than trying to battle with this flashy high win rate. And unfortunately, the flashy high win rate will be thrown around on Instagram. I know traders who have a 40% win rate who make a very, very, very good living. I'd say the majority of traders are around the 45 to 50% win rate anyway. But online it's often advertised like, we have this 70-80% win rate. And really, depending on the system you're developing, that is very, very hard to sustain. And if you are not able to sustain a high win rate with a very low risk reward system, the margin of error also becomes lower. And that is why, once again, I will say that yes, this video is about how to increase your win rate, but you really want to actually focus on maximizing your trading gains, not the number of winning trades you might have. How can you maximize the gains on those winning trades and reduce the amount you're losing on those losing trades? And even if you're not really able to develop a metric of cutting those losses short on your losing trades, if you're setting a standard risk with a standard risk model, you can still look into, okay, well, look, if I need this breathing room for my stop loss, what can I do up here as we start getting into profit? How can I protect that profit? How can I double down? What are the metrics that allow me to put size into this trade safely while still protecting my capital? What are the metrics that will give me signs to scale in? If we've halfway moved to our target, is there any areas here or metrics I can develop that allows me to scale in another trade safely while protecting my current open trade, which is obviously going to then limit the amount of risk you have on the table? So all of these questions is things that we need to ask to really maximize and squeeze out the juice of those winning trades. So look, this is the topic on how to increase your win rate. I don't want to spread the wrong message either. Obviously, win rate is important, and especially when you're trying to combine the perfect win rate with the perfect risk reward. You don't want to have a really low risk reward with a very low win rate. Obviously, that's not going to make sense. But you can still be profitable with a 40%, 35% win rate with a higher risk reward. But it's just that the lower the win rate and the lower the risk reward, or the higher the risk reward, the more psychological friction you're going to face. So really, that's why I say, if you can get your strategy to around the 50% win rate model, anywhere, and add 10 onto either side of that, so between 60 and 40, if you can play within that 20% boundary, and you're able to, basically per trade get 2-to-1, 3-to-1, even 3-to-1 risk reward, that'd be great. You're going to be very, very safe, and you're going to make money. And these odds here, or these equity curves that we spoke about in the previous video, show that. Here is a 2-to-1 risk reward with a 50% win rate. You can see how clean these equity curves are. You can see as well here 3-to-1 with a 40% win rate. You can see how clean the equity curves are. Here with a 1-to-1, you need that win rate to be a little bit higher. Here it's a 65% win rate. And like I said, just to bring you back to this again, the higher your win rate, so it's kind of similar to your risk reward here. The higher your win rate, the lower your risk reward is realistically going to be. Just the same as the higher your risk reward is, the lower probability of a trade winning is. And that's over time, okay? We're never just talking about one particular trade opportunity. Like I say all the time, your next trade is just a pixel that makes up an entire image. On its own, it's worthless, but when you have multiple trades to really see, and put these pixels together, it makes an entire image. It makes it a lot clearer to see. It's the same with your equity curve. The next 1 to 2 to 3 trades, they mean nothing. It's the next 100 to 1,000 trades that's really going to provide you with a much clearer picture. And that's why even as traders, you'd want to look at things like, month to month basis, quarterly basis is even better, instead of looking at your performance on a week to week basis. So yeah, overall guys, this is a quick video on increasing your win rate and maximizing your trading gains. I hope you all have a blessed week, and comment down below if you have any questions. Comment down below if you would like us to break down another topic. This was literally a comment that was left on our last video here by one of our viewers. Can you talk about increasing your win rate? So, I basically answered that straight away. So if you comment your video, if it's, beneficial, if your comment could be beneficial to the viewers, I will definitely make a video about that. So please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.